Hello everybody, welcome to more Heroes of the Storm on Khaldor TV. And I have a bit of a gem for you today. It is another best of one match that we had in the GO4Heroes Tournament, and it's a really interesting one. We've seen Team Aurora yesterday take down Team Dignitas. They did very well there, and now they're going up against Team Arthas, the Russian team that just loves to go into their Nubarak builds. And Nubarak as the single tank in their composition, something that only they really do. And now they're going up against Aurora. And Aurora kind of got whatever they wanted. The entire draft, a perfect Illidan comp, and that's what they're trying to utilize in the game here. This is going to be a good one, and I hope you are ready with a bit of popcorn and some Coke, because this is going to be quite an entertaining match. So enjoy it, and without further ado, we're going to jump into game number one, the only game actually in this best of one series between Team Aurora and Team Arthas.
Game on, ladies and gentlemen, in the semi-final at the GO4Heroes Tournament. We have Team Aurora going up against Team Arthas. The Russian team was able to take down LDLC in the last game, also on Cursed Hollow. And as you can see here, it is once again the map. To the left side, we're having Von Till for Team Aurora on Rhaegar, Escape on Illidan, Mopsio on ETC, Alistair on ArthasStroitHram, and Guccio on Tassada. So basically a perfect Illidan comp, maybe with ArthasStroitHram being played for Vala, you would maybe want to switch that one out, but still, besides that, Arthas allowed them to get whatever they wanted, and the Russian team is playing with Sefka on Tyrande, Stalk on Anubarak, Unstable on Vala, Andilendi on Azebo, and Kuni-chan on Uther. So we're going to find out now who's going to take it here. The Russians are very, very strong, and they're actually like starting to really gain a lot of momentum on the European server, I feel, especially since they've been constantly reaching the quarters, semis and finals of those tournaments. So they're going to go for that. At this point, we are currently already looking into a tri-lane at the top together with ArthasStroitHram. We're having Andilendi trying to protect that lane. In the mid lane it is Unstable, Sefka and Kuni-chan. They can rotate from that lane towards the bot and to the top, and they're really just trying to push Illidan back. And Illidan can offer very little resistance against this and has to be super careful that he doesn't die to that. So with them putting in the damage, they can do a whole lot of work, and they're of course trying to outpush the top lane. That is going to be a bit difficult, but at least Andilendi has a couple of spells on his Nazebo that he can use to just like push the Aurora guys back at the top. For now, we're having the Healing Ward taken on level 1 for Rhaegar. Of course, Illidan is going for the standard build with his Shadow Shield on level 1, block on ETC. We're having in terms of like ArthasStroitHram Advanced Artillery and the Psy Infusion on the side of Tassada over the Conjurer's Pursuit. Conjurer's Pursuit, by the way, taken by Uther. We're having Tyrande going in this game for the Ranger's Mark, so it's very likely that we're going to see on 13 and 16 talents that just increase her Lunar Flare. And also, we're having extended spikes on Anubarak, a hero that we don't see all that often, but especially the Russian team here, Team Arthas, they really, really like that hero, and they've been playing him as a solo tank for a long time, which kind of not a single team has done for ages. Top lane by now completely pushed in, the same happened in the mid lane of course too, and their goal is to take down that, well, shielded by Guccio. He's really trying to save it, but with the well gone, it's of course very, very tricky to keep the pressure up on the mid lane. Illidan is going as soon as those levels, also 2-minute mercenaries appear on the map. It is jumping straight into the camps. We're having rotations everywhere, especially since Sefka and Kuni-chan already took this one. And they see what's going on there. They saw Illidan there, and they rotate back immediately. Guccio and the rest of the team are trying to wait for them, but the Siege Giant camp has been leashed. The escape is low, and now they are there with 3 heroes trying to take that. All the way down to the bot lane. As you can see, it's Mopsio and Stalk still facing off against each other, with Anubarak apparently doing a pretty decent job here so far. At the top lane, Alistair, nice, not falling into the trap, but he's still losing a lot of his HP, but was able to push them back for now. Andilendi and Sefka with the Healing Ward have to be, of course, careful, since there is also a trap waiting for them, with the Escape jumping in, trying to body block Andilendi. The stun of Sefka didn't really help out, and the Sergeant is pushing them back. But nice move here to keep Andi alive. Very well done, and Von Till for a second was actually stunned out there. No stun follow-up as Guccio moves in on his money pick and is trying to turn maybe the tides of the battle. Level 4 talents revealed another Healing Ward on the side of Tassada for the blue team. They're taking also the first tribute here. We're having the Feral Heart taken. Should see Feral Lunge on level 13, but for now it's all about the regeneration of mana and hit points on Rhaegar. as we're having for the red team in this case, Team Arthas, the Russians, level 7, hitting just a bit faster with the battle momentum on Vala, the Aura on Tyrande. We're having Fonezibu, who took Gathering Power on level 4, the Clairvoyant talent taken, which is great on this map. I mean, with 2 bosses on the map, you always want to know where your opponent is. If they take one of those bosses, you want to make sure that you have a chance to move in and do something about it. Down to the bot lane, Unstable and Mopsy are going up against each other. Legion of Beetles and a Bed of Barbs has been used by those two. Oh, over here an attempt to steal that hard camp. A 3 versus 3. Mopsio moving in, Stalk going down, and the camp stolen. Wow, that must be frustrating. Doing all the work and then losing that camp. Vala was just a bit too late to really commit anything to the battle. We're having also in the mid lane now 2 heroes up against 2, Sefgan and Dilendi. But so far the dynamic in the game, we had a kill already for Aurora. Oh, and a second kill since suddenly the escape on Illidan together with ETC jumped Vala down here. So it's 2 versus 0 kills at this point in time. Job well done by them. And with that, they start to really gain some momentum here. They also have 2 tributes, and that's of course a bit of an issue. In experience, they might not really be all that far ahead, but they have a hard camp pushing the mid lane. We're also seeing now a Siege Giant camp taken by Stalk with the Zanuburak, but this is of course a pretty dire situation for them. We're having a double first aid taken on Illidan and also on Sergeant Hammer. In this case, they might even be the ones reaching level 10 faster, depending on how they are able to push those lanes back. But it is still iffy. If you already lost 2 of the tributes, the next one could be very, very difficult for you to accomplish. And here, if they get this one, that would be great. We already saw a bit of vision provided, but I don't think that the red team knows what's going on here. So if that boss is being captured, that would be horrible for them. Web being used. There comes the Tyrande Owl, but ultimates now for both of them. Web, Strafe, Ravenous Spirit, Divine Storm, and Starfall. And the boss is pushing the lane, as at the top lane we are seeing the tribute spawn. They're trying to get a boss as well, but the rotation is happening, and we're having Stage Dive on ETC. He could dive in whenever he wants to, and he probably will. Yeah, he jumps in, and they're trying to go for it. Dilendi is extremely low, and he might die. Illidan jumps in with the Metamorphosis, gets taken. Well, it gets actually like stunned for a second, but taken out. The boss didn't even leash. They can't take the boss, and yeah, Arthas is in trouble, in a lot of trouble. That Illidan comp is doing work. Metamorphosis, of course, a great talent that he could use in the last fight to just chase down Nazeebo. That was the 3rd kill for the team. They're going for Kuni-chan as well, even with that stun on Illidan. Very unlikely that he's going to get away, especially with the curse. Is he going to get behind that wall? Illidan might jump in, and he does get stunned, but with that lightning shield, there's just no way for him to escape. A good web being used here, but what is that going to do? Very little, since he can just simply jump over them. Vala with a good strafe. Oh my god, they actually get Rhaegar just before he uses his ult, especially with Dilendi's Ravenous Spirit also doing additional damage. But they are still over here with the escape very low. I mean, he can't even use his first aid anymore. They are trying to escape, and they will. Alistar barely getting away here, shielded by Gucci, who moved in the last second. Unstable down on his Vala is just providing another multi-shot, but he's so low already that it's very tricky for him to commit anything to that fight without exposing himself too much. Illidan just barely got away with no hit points whatsoever. Alistar and Gucci also low, but they still survive, and that's of course the most important part for them. The boss at the top lane has already done a severe amount of damage. They're taking down the fort, going straight for that wall, dropping that as well. Curse still for another 4 seconds. And we have, of course, Feral Lunge taken together with the next talent on evasion for Illidan. Uber Rockstar, Giant Killer, and Prescience has been taken. And, well, we still have that talent lead, and of course all those structures taken down. So at this point I suppose that the new team, the Team Aurora, is pretty happy about the development in the game. Arthas is having a tough time. They're trying to get Von Till. Oh, they could maybe get him here. ETC jumps in with a stage dive. Ancestral Healing is saving Rhaegar for now. Vala with the damage against Mopsio, and ETC just moved in a bit too far. But the counter kill up here against Uther. Web being used now. They're trying to get at least one of those heroes. The stun is perfect against Alistar, and he can't get away. That ulti of Dilendi is just doing so much work. Oh my god, that is good. And they might be able to get Guccio now as well. Unstable moves in. He has the frost shot taken. And yes, they drop Dasana. Very well done by the Russian team. I mean, suddenly it's 5 kills against 4. They really started a comeback with this. Was a nice trap that they laid here. The only hero that they lost was Uther, but that's a great game from them. We even have now Burning Rage taken, a talent that you usually don't see on heroes, but in this case, Stalk goes straight for it. Pretty cool match so far. Nice dynamic that we have between the two teams. 14 talents for both of them now, and if you think about how much pressure Team Aurora was able to build up in the early game with the double boss and the curse against the Russians, then this is an impressive comeback that we are seeing from Arthas right now. And with that, they might be able to turn things around here. I mean, I don't want to call it too soon, but this is definitely an opportunity that they have. They could take those structures, and they're trying to push the mid lane now. ETC is still down at the bot. He has to jump in with a stage dive if he wants to contribute to this fight. Illidan on his White Dire Wolf is making an appearance here, but they have a hard camp now on their own. The Bruiser camp starting to move in. The top lane is one that they have to defend. The keep is half down in HP, and that means that they need to make sure that those siege giants are not gonna gain momentum. I love the owls, by the way, that we're seeing from Sefka. The entire time he makes sure that he sees what's going on. Oh, Mopsio on his ETC has left the game. That is bad news right now. They still start to push, though. They start to push, and that forces a reaction, of course. In comes the team trying to rush in for that. There's the stun and the follow-up, and they're going straight for Born Till. Oh, he saves himself for a second, but then he dies. 2 heroes down, and they use Web now as well, trying maybe with another wall of zombie to lock him down here, and I guess they will. Mopsio DC'd, disconnected completely, as they mentioned in all chats, so apparently he's not even able to come back into this. 10 minutes into the game, I don't think that there's anything that they can do about it. Well, Guccio is moving down to the bot, and he is being dropped now too. ETC, of course, not jumping in with that stage dive. Mopsio is back in the game, apparently. Yeah, he's back in the game. So, yeah, that last fight didn't really work out for them. I have to admit, though, that after Mopsio DC, they had a chance to just move back with their heroes, Team Aurora, that is, and usually if you're looking at a game like this, your opponent will take it easy on you for a minute or two if one of your players disconnected. But in this case, they still pushed in the mid forward, and I mean, you have to react. I don't blame Team Arthas at all for going into that fight. They had to do something about it. They might have let it slide if there would have been an immediate reaction from Team Aurora, moving back and not attacking anymore and just like trying to take it easy. They had that opportunity to retreat. They didn't do it. They went for it. Maybe they were like too irritated about what was going on, but right now the fight is happening again. They're going for Alistar. The 16 talent is there. ETC jumps in, but the kill is solid. 16 versus 15 talents. That 16 level is hitting any second right now for Aurora. The escape in trouble, and he's dying. The last few fights have just been gone amazingly well for the Russian team. Even before that disconnect problem that they had there, 2 fights ended up in the hands of the red team. Right now with the boss pushing in, they have of course all that momentum that was gathered earlier by their opponents. Guccio is a bit low, Mopsio is starting to move in there once more, but this is just great play by Arthas right now, trying to get that keep and maybe a bit more than that. They're starting to move in, but Sergeant Hammer is going to be ready any second. If they get a kill on Guccio, of course, then it's going to be a completely different story. They have those 16 talents now as well, 16 versus 16 on both sides. We see 2 blood for bloods in this case. And we're having, at the same time, also Stone Skin used Executioner. We're having the Dimensional Warp on Tassadar, which, by the way, saved him in the last fight. And we're also seeing now the Specialized Toxins together with the Shooting Star talent and Imposing Presence. So, not all is lost here yet for the new team, for Team Aurora, for the blue team. But, of course, they need a win now. They need to win one of those fights. They need to get a few objectives on the map. Maybe get a curse up. Maybe get just a few of those mercenaries pushing in. Something, just something to help them put some pressure onto the Russian team, and it's not going to be easy. Those team fights have been ending in favor of the Russian team quite reliably after they hit level 10. And they've been doing a very good job with that, especially with the weapon. I love those Ravenous Spirits that we saw. Once more, Sefka trying to go for that stun here. Unstable, maybe a bit too far out there. But Stork with the stun is able to make sure that Vala is not getting attacked here. Vala with Strafe is, of course, putting in a lot of damage. You don't have that stun that Rain of Vengeance gives you, but it gives you a lot of DPS if you get a full on out. And so far, there's not really a whole lot of stun if you think about it on their opponents. Oh my god! There's a stun comp, though. That did some work, and of course immediately the healing ward to make sure that they're healed up to full health again. This one, they might have to let it go. 17 versus 18, you don't get a better chance and fight against those levels. Position, on the other hand, is a problem. Here comes Napalm being used already, trying to go for that once more. There's Kuni-chan, Stork, Andilendi, the stun against Illidan, ETC jumping in, Stork moving away, and here comes Vala with all that damage on the strafe, and Web being used against Illidan. Mopsio being attacked here, but healed. Great ancestral healing that we saw there. Andilendi with so much ult. Mopsio finally stunning him out, and Tyrande dying. Suddenly, it's the Russians that have to run away once again. This Scape is trying to go for Uther. He's trying to find some target. Illidan is great at chasing heroes, but only if you connect, if you go in deep enough, and in this case, he just couldn't close the distance. Uther's T being back. Vision granted already, thanks to Nazeebo in this case, and this means that they are well aware that this boss is going to end up in the hands of Team Aurora. 6 kills against 9. Stork, is he thinking about moving in? Yeah, well, he probably is, but he's not doing it just yet. Kuni-chan might be too exposed here. If Illidan jumps in, he's trying to slide towards the target to close in, but he's a bit too late for that. So they settle for the Bruiser camp, at least for now. So they're going for the Bruiser camp at this point and are trying to take this one. And this is exactly what happens there. Mopsio to Escape and Guccio, they're going straight for that. Montil, Alistor, they are in position. They are starting to push that lane in up at the top. Down goes potentially that keep. Great moves that we're actually seeing from them. So very, very well done. Unstable and Andilendi are still in position, but the problem is that they cannot deal with that boss. The keep goes down, and they are just like trying to win the team fight. They are rushing in up to the top, trying to chase one of the targets down, and they didn't get that just yet. So in this case, we're having nearly level 19 closing now for Team Arthas, but they are dealing with a boss that is starting to put damage on the core. Won't be able to do anything. It's going to scratch the shield, but not take it down. So that's one of those things that is not going to be too problematic for them. The bigger issue is that they are now cursed. Thanks to the tribute at the bot lane, we are seeing Aurora with a lot of momentum going. They still have to wait a lot longer until they are going to hit the level 20. Oh, but the web could change things. The web against Rhaegar. Rhaegar is being captured, and ETC is jumping in, trying to save him, but Rhaegar gets just annihilated within seconds. No ancestral healing in this fight. Here comes the ults. Oh my god, Andilendi on his spirit. He's doing so much work. The Escape drops. They kill Tyrande, but they might lose more than that as suddenly Andilendi is moving in, but he misses his wall of zombies. Wall of zombies is not hitting. Kuni-chan is there as well, and oh god, this is not looking good. I mean, he's just barely moving away. Guccio saving his ass with another dimensional warp here, but it is still 1 versus 2, and of course with 4 heroes still on the map, they could go for boss here, and that all happened during Curse, so that whole thing could not be used, but Kuni-chan too exposed. He might die because of it, and he does. They get Uther. Great move there. A bit ballsy by Alistor and Mopsio, but they get the kill. And now they can simply go for the boss. It's something that they can easily do because they have Rhaegar coming back in a second. Alistor has to be very... Oh my god, he nearly died. 1 more second and the shield a bit later and he would have died there. As it happens, he doesn't though, and yep, Alistor, Mopsio and Guccio, they are going straight for the boss right now. If he gets rooted again, he would drop, but yeah, he just needs to make sure that that is gonna happen. They take the boss, and well, these boys are too late, but they could kill Mopsio. They could kill Mopsio, and they try. They try to move in. Oh, and they trap him, but he can power slide away. We have web being used again, but this time they don't try and follow up. Or are they? They actually go for it. Montil has learned his lesson and is moving away immediately. 19, nearly 20 against 19. This is developing into a really epic game, guys. I mean, this is getting really fun. Looking at the damage for a second before we're going to jump into the level 20 talents. We're having 50,000 dished out by Vala, 100,000 siege damage for her, 31,000 for Sergeant Hammer. And if you look at heal, 30,000 against 43,000. Pretty solid, actually, for both of the teams. Very nice numbers there. Once again, the bot lane has been attacked. 20 talents now for the Russian team, pushing the top lane again. They're the only ones who have to deal... Well, actually, like, by now, we have 2 teams that have to deal with a lane where there's no keep in existence any longer. Over here, already, we're seeing, again, with level 20 talents, Hardened Shield on Anubarak. It's going to be a great talent for him. I mean, it's an amazing talent. He could have gone for Rewind, but in this case, as a solo tank, Hardened Shield is just too good. Rewind on Tyrande, though, and wow, we're having Vengeance chosen on Vala. Apparently not afraid to not take Bolt of the Storm, which you don't see all that often. Usually that mobility and that additional escape is just like worth a lot, and Nexus Friends is also extremely strong. The Annihilating Spirit on Nazeebo. Oh, the jump in by Mopsio, driving a wedge between the opponent. The escape is low, getting stunned once, getting stunned while he's using Metamorphosis. In the last second, he's getting stunned again, but he doesn't die, and the web is being used as Uther dies. Web used, and Sefka, no, he's not escaping. Not against an Illidan. This is just not gonna happen. And over here, Vontil. Oh, do they drop at least Rhaegar? Yes, they do. Empty Runner's still alive. She dies, but they might be able to close the distance to escape. Nope, it looks like Mopsio is going to be their next target here. It's 2 kills against 1 though, so they have 1 hero down. The Russians, they just don't care. They don't give a shit. 3 versus 3 right now. Hell yeah, we're gonna take that. We're gonna move in for that any day. They have 1 hero down, but they still take the tribute and go for the fight. It's the second tribute that they have. They need to deal with the boss, or at least the siege giants at the top lane. But this is getting crazy good. This is actually like super fun. This game is awesome. 19 minutes into the match, 12 kills against 10. We've seen very difficult and very difficult for both teams and very different outcomes here too. Sergeant Hammer, of course, on 20 with the Nexus Friends. The Twilight Archon has been chosen on Tassadar, as Rock God is the choice for Mopsio. And we're having the demonic form on Illidan in this case, not going for the Nexus Blades either, or the Bolt of the Storm. Rhaegar with the traditional Storm Shield, once more web being used, and they're trying to isolate him here. Here comes Kunichan with a big stun, escape! Illidan is down, and they get the tank as well. Sergeant Hammer, she's down now too, and the tribute is spawning at the worst time in the entire game. It's a 5 versus 3, and they're gonna get the curse, and then they can take boss, and they might even be able to do more than that and go for victory here. Actually, I don't think they can, but they could take another keep at least. They're not going to go for the boss. What are they going to do here? Are they just going to try and put pressure on the keep and force them into a bad defensive position? They could do that. They could do it, and they are trying to do it. They're trying to finish now. They're trying to finish and trying to put the pressure on the core. It's a 3 versus 5 defense with 27 additional seconds on Illidan, and during all that time you can't do anything about the lanes that are being pushed in now by the curse. The shields are nearly gone. Stork is super low, but they don't have enough damage. Guccio, oh my god, that stun, it's only 30 seconds. Mopsio jumping in, and this, ladies and gentlemen, is game. Arthas takes the semi-final at the GO4Heroes Tournament against Team Aurora, who wins the match on Cursed Hollow and advances to the finals. A great finish for that game. Really sick match between the two teams. It's of course a bit unfortunate that we had that disconnect from Mopsio in the middle of the match. At the same time though, you can argue that they could have moved back at this point. They didn't really need to continue pushing that fort. Could have waited a bit longer to give Mopsio a chance to come back into the game. That was of course a bit of an unfortunate situation there, but you can't blame the Russians for moving in to defend their structures and take that fight. Even after that, we had great battles between the two teams, and you could really tell that the Russians had so much synergy there. I mean, the fights were insane, they were extremely entertaining, and that was a fun match, even though of course we had that small problem there in the mid game. For Team Aurora, it's of course a bit disappointing, and I can completely understand them there. At the same time, they did very well in the tournament, and I really want to see more from them in the future. With Arthas, we're going to move on into the next round of the tournament right now. They've played a great tournament so far, and they might be able to go all the way. So guys, I hope that you enjoyed the video today. Give it a thumbs up on YouTube if you did, and subscribe to Khaldor TV if you didn't hit that sub button yet. I'm going to see you guys next time with more Heroes of the Storm on the channel. Have a good one. Bye bye.